think the most memorable things is where I've done an exchange with people who are very lonely. There's a lot of lonely people. I knew that, but being involved in Timebank, I've come across them now, and often if I'm at an event, you just see these lonely people, and Timebank is a way of getting them to come out of their shell, getting them to interact again.
I think one event that really captured it was we had a Christmas party at my place end of last year, and I guess I was kind of the host. I was having it at my place, but I just never had like a more relaxed party that I've organised, because I just put out on Timebank a whole bunch of different requests of things I wanted help with. With the party, I asked people to donate gifts, I asked people to bring firewood, I asked people to look after the pizza oven, people bought ingredients for pizza. There was a little bit of prep that I did, but in terms of like actually having the party, I was kind of able to be there and really enjoy it rather than just hosting.
I think unexpected pluses for my husband and I was we've got a old school spacey machine, Space Invaders and all that in our house, and it died. And so we contacted the people in Auckland and said, look, what can we do to get this repaired? They kind of said, well, it's going to cost you a lot to send it all back down, I went to a local shop that still has spacey machines in here, and I asked, do you have a technician? And they said, oh, not really. Then at a Timebank gathering, lo and behold, one of the Timebankers came in, and that's his thing. He fiddles with those sorts of things, and within a couple of time credit exchanges, he fixed our spacey machine.
That was actually one of my first transactions, was someone coming to help me clean my gutters. And he had a fancy tool that he was really wanting to use in different places, and we had this great conversation. It was like, one of those things where you sort of think, oh, you're going to have to pay for that, because it's the sort of thing no one's going to want to do that. But here's someone who's actually willingly happy to do that, completely separate from his work life as well. And it just shifts that thing about going, I've got to go and pay money to do something.
There's two guys in particular who basically lived by themselves. And one guy, he just said he doesn't need anybody. He's just there by himself. He was actually helping us with the working bee. And he says, nothing I need from it. I can weed my garden and do all this. And I talked to him, and he didn't want to join up, because he didn't want his name on any internet or anything. And I talked to him for a while, and eventually he said, oh, well, I would like to learn bridge, which is amazing, because he's this hermit, lives in the middle of the bush. I said, oh, well, you could just put a request on Timebank. Anybody else wants to learn bridge? And he says, oh, and he joined up. And so he can still be his hermit as much as he likes. And then once a fortnight, he can go on and just check if there's anybody there, or he can find something he wants to do to help somebody, or if he needs some help. So that's my most memorable exchange, is actually getting some really lonely or some very vulnerable people to actually be able to reach to them, to touch them, and to get them involved in community again, where there's reasons why they're like that.
Well, there was one of our members who went into care a few years ago, and she'd done a lot of volunteering work at the Eco Centre and earned her time credits that way, and mostly spent her time credits on getting lifts to medical appointments and shopping and things like that. But she still, when she went in, she was in hospital and then straight into care in another part of the country, and so her family weren't around here, they were down in Cambridge. And so a bunch of time bankers went in and helped clear her house, pack it up, sort out what she needed. We sold a lot of stuff for her. We did a couple of garage sales and things, and we just mucked in and got it done. And we were like, we did the role of family for her. We were the whānau that had grown up around her.
And a lot of older people don't like taking charity, but if you say, and I know I don't want somebody to come and help me during lockdown to do my shopping, and I say, I don't want charity. In effect, they're saying don't want charity. You say, no, you're going to help them because you're going to give them a time credit, and they can use that to get somebody to come and help them. So you're not in debt to them. You don't have to do anything for them because you're giving them time that they can use for somebody else. And then often a lot of older people think, so they join to allow somebody to do the shopping for them, to help them get time credits. But in a way where, but they were kind of suffering because they needed that help, but now they're doing it because they're helping that person. And there's a young guy in the Hokianga who's 14 and kind of a misfit at school, and he actually, nothing he likes more is to go around and help these older people, and the older people give him jobs to do so that he, they've actually started to get this interaction going, and he was so he goes in and out of being a dropout and started getting involved in Timebank. But Timebank could be the saviour of him and his life, actually, because the old people, they give him, cake and biscuits, and they kind of dote on him a bit, and he feels, I can actually do something useful in society.
Personally, there was a working bee where at my place, and it was removing some flax bushes, and they were huge, quite big, and they were really good muka flax as well, a really good flax for weaving. So it was, kind of multifaceted really. It was about digging up those ones, replanting them in places that I wanted them, separating them out, but it also, there was, an abundance of them, so those who wanted to take them for themselves as well could, and then we had a shared kai afterwards, a shared lunch, and I really love that, having a group of people come, really make a big hit at some work that, would take you forever and would be, quite hard work and lonely work, and it was over within, I think maybe a couple of hours, and everyone was happy, and got it all planted out, and people got to take home some for themselves if they wanted it.
It was the very first event that I tried to help organise, and it was a working bee with a potluck lunch. And so we did 2 hours in the garden at somebody's house, and then all sat down together and learned about time banking, learned about each other, and there were people who lived next door to each other, who had never met before, didn't know anything about each other, but are now firm friends from attending that event as well. So that was really cool.
I've had about half a dozen pairs of hand knitted socks made for me. I've bought the wool and someone else has knitted them up, and my mum and my sister-in-law have had a nice supply of Christmas presents that way, as well as me getting some myself.